Pelicans game day, though, boys. It's finally here. After the very disappointing way in which last season ended, the long wait is over. What Mario, because you're most obviously tuned into the Pelicans right now. What are the things that you are most excited for going into tonight's game?
Well, just watching Zion and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum play together. They've only played 10 games together so far. That's going to be really nice. And just overall health. Like, it sucks that Murphy and Alvarado are out, but the fact you have Zion and Brandon Ingram playing again is very exciting. Y'all saw what happened the first half of last season. So it's a very long season. Like I said, don't want to overreact too much too early, but as of now, I'm very excited to watch the Pelicans play basketball.
So 7 o'clock tonight, it's in Memphis. No John Morant, no Steven Adams for Memphis, so you would appear to have the advantage on that front. When you look at kind of the role that you expect everybody to play, like you said, we've only seen 10 games from the Pelicans' potential big three there. With no Trey Murphy, who's the shooter on this team, right? Like how do you make Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson work well together, and how does CJ McCollum fit into that mix also?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about the rotation right now, and I think you'll see Willie Green play around with that a lot. I think you'll see a heavy dose of Dyson Daniels tonight. I know they have Jordan Hawkins. He's a rookie. He probably makes his debut, but they also signed Matt Ryan, the ex-LA Laker that made the shot to beat the Pelicans last season. Mm-hmm. So you'll probably see a lot of him. And I would assume Kyra Lewis will be the backup point guard. Like,
oh, really?
His minutes have been so all over the place since he's been with the Pelicans. But with Jose Alvarado being out, no reason for him to not get minutes. And all these years in, this shouldn't be the case. But I'm still kind of curious to see what he can do. So I think you'll see a lot of Kyra too.
How are we feeling about Willie Green entering this season? This will now be Willie Green year number 3. The freshman campaign obviously ends fantastically. The sophomore one begins fantastic, but it felt like people started to kind of turn on him last year, whether it was questions about how he was using the rotation or when he was playing guys. It seems like, in year number 1, there was so much talk of, okay, here's a guy who knows how to connect with the players. He's a longtime NBA player himself. He's young. He was able to motivate that team. Last year, it kind of felt like the team started to check out a bit, and you fell into a bit of the Alvin Gentry disease where every single night you're talking about how the effort's got to be better. Like, I don't understand why through 2 regimes now, in some of these super critical moments, you've had Pelicans teams that come out and they just look disinterested. Like, they just don't look like they're playing with any fire or competitiveness. And, some have pointed to a preseason where that's kind of looked like the case at times this year. So how are we feeling about Green kind of locking these guys in and getting them to be at their best?
Yeah, I think it's important to have good assistants. Like you mentioned, Alvin Gentry. They lost Chris Finch, who's now the head coach of the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans were not as good. Ultimately, he gets fired, and they bring in James Borrego, who was the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, to kind of be the de facto OC of the Pelicans. And I saw an interview with Kyra Lewis yesterday when he was talking about what's really different. And his quote was, they're trying to stay out of ISO ball as much. We know we have a lot of players that are good in ISO, but just freeing them up a little bit so ISOs can be much easier. So they're trying to create more possessions. They're trying to kind of change the offensive philosophy, and hopefully that helps Willie. And honestly, he has to be a lot better with his rotations. Like, there were just some nonsensical decisions, not just last season, but the last 2 seasons. Like, guys like Tony Snell and Garrett Temple getting minutes when they probably shouldn't. Last year with Josh Richardson, who was solid but should not have been playing over Trey Murphy. Like, you need to shrink your rotation from the beginning of the season, and you need to do a better job of that too.
I'm excited, man. I can't wait to watch tonight. Hopefully come out of here feeling very excited. Hopefully this can be where Zion kind of re-announces himself to the NBA, stay healthy, ball out, and kind of show. Because even last year when they reached 3rd in the West, is that Ingram was out, right? Like, yeah. Ingram was not playing at that time. And so it was just kind of Zion takeover ball. How do those two work together? Who's taking the shot in the 4th quarter, I think, is somewhat interesting. Ingram is someone who it really felt like the last couple of years, just through a lot of hard work and determination, has become much more clutch and become the guy that they started to rely on. But then again, if you have Zion Williamson, is that the guy that you actually rely on the ball going to when it matters most?
Yeah, and CJ too. Hopefully he gets to actually be, what he was brought in to do, which is to be the 3rd guy, play off ball. There was a game last season where he broke the franchise record and made 11 3-pointers in a game. And he didn't have the best close to the season, but he was playing through pain, had a broken thumb, and also was kind of the first option a lot of the times when Zion and BI was out. So I'm curious to see what he could curious to see what he can do playing off of the ball. I think he could be really effective, and I think a lot of Pelicans fans are kind of underrating C.J. McCollum coming into the year.
All right. Well, we're gonna see. I'm super excited. Again, another start to the NBA season. I love the NBA. Let's go, Pels. Flock up. Get it done tonight. And hopefully this is the beginning of what could be a very fun run this year. If not, I guess you'll always have women's basketball.
82 games. Again, don't overreact too much too early, good or bad.
Well, I mean, yes and no, though, right? Because it's been way too often where we've seen Pelican seasons just completely buried within the first 3 weeks of the year. There was we've seen 1-11 starts, 3-13 starts, Yeah, I agree. One game, whatever, if you lose tonight, that is what it is.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, though. 2 years ago, they started 1-12 and still made the playoffs. Last year,
but that's not. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Last year, they were first in the West halfway through, and did not come to fruition. So it's a very long year, man.
It is a very long year, but I don't know. I hate the years, and they normally always end badly when you're just having to make excuses for why the team is starting so horribly.
For sure.
And you should win tonight. With no John Morant, no Steven Jackson. You should beat that Memphis Grizzlies.
Last I saw, the Grizzlies
Steven Adams, excuse me.
Last I saw, the Grizzlies were a 1-point favorites. Hopefully the Pelicans are able to take care of business, but for whatever reason, that stadium's kind of been a house of horrors for them. Since 2021, the Pelicans are 4-1 against the Grizzlies at home, but in Memphis, they are 1-5 in that span. And the last 4 games have been 15-plus points of difference.
Has there been any update to C.J. McCollum basically calling out some of the players at the end of last year about playing hurt and what it takes to be a professional? Has there been any news kind of has anybody done the deep dive on that and see how the guys that he was basically calling out responded to it?
Not really. It's just kind of all reading between the lines. Christian Clark asked Zion again about basically why did you not come back at media day, and he basically doubled down on that last interview we heard. So they've been called out. I think Trey Murphy deserves a lot of credit. He's already in the gym, moving around, taking shots. He's trying to come back somewhat soon. But we won't really know. They're keeping that stuff in-house. Honestly, just actions are going to tell us whether or not that was all heated.
Wait, so Zion doubled down on the I didn't feel like Zion stuff?
Yes, he just said I wasn't ready.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's ready now, though. He's playing tonight.
Greg says, T-Bob's so non-committal this year. No, I just feel awful. The vibes are incredibly low in the studio today. It's just really bad. And we're all trying to just push through these 3 hours and do our job technically, but no, I mean it's just awful right now. Jeff G says T-Bob needs to be non-committal. He's aware of the T-Bob jinx. Not true.
Is there a T-Bob jinx?
No, I don't know what. No, I don't know. DraftKings has an over/under 31 on number of games Zion plays.
I don't know.
That's true. That's
I'm taking the under.
There's no way that's real.
I'm taking the under.
Well, good. I hope you lose all of your money then, Taylor.
I hope I do too. Because I want him to play, but you got to take the under on that.
You like crapping on him. It's like if you lost Dak, you want to know what to do with yourself. You need somewhere to be that outlet for your negative energy. Otherwise, what are you left with?
114 games in 4 years. Let's hope that improves.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not much more than a single season.
Hasn't played since when? January 2nd?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ace Jordan says zero excitement for the Pels this season. Yeah, look, I can't really fault anybody who's maybe feeling that as well, because the way that last year ended was so brutal and so just heartbreaking, watching the slow collapse over time, not even making the playoffs a year after you finished so hot, right? You finished super hot, you raised expectations, and you fell so short of those that I'm not surprised that apathy seems to have taken root once again. But the way to change that is to win. Right? I mean, especially if the Saints are going to be down, college football's ending soon. If the Pelicans win, they could gain some heart and mind share. But they had all those opportunities last year, so we'll see.
Well, hey, Mario said 114 games in 4 years. It's 28.5 games per year. Everybody take the under.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see if that. I wonder if that's true now. I'll look on DraftKings, see if I can find something like that.